On this day, the entire world was jolted awake by a phenomenon that, just a year earlier, seemed to be impossible to achieve. Under the auspices of the Resolute Desk, Vice President Biden has put his signature to an executive order that bears the title Promoting Digital Asset Competitiveness. Not only does this directive have the potential to influence policy, but it also has the ability to alter strategy. It is the fact that this order not only establishes a staggering price objective of $25,000, but also clearly acknowledges XRP as the strategic benchmark for digital currency activity in the United States. This is what distinguishes it from other orders. It is not a forecast, it is not speculation, and it is most certainly not wishful thinking. All of these things are not to be confused with one another, according to the decision. XRP has been recognized as the official focal point for the national policy for digital assets. This designation was made in compliance with the decision. These decisions will have implications that will be felt far beyond Wall Street, beyond the sphere of traditional banking, and all the way into the halls of power in the world. Instantaneously, a digital asset that was hitherto regarded as a specialist technology has suddenly arisen as an essential component of the national strategy. The United States of America is undergoing a change in its perspective on money, influence, and technology in general. And this new development is symbolic of that change. When attempting to appreciate the relevance of this executive order, it is vital to take into consideration both the economic and geopolitical circumstances that are now in place. The administration has been debating a number of themes for a considerable amount of time, including the following: embracing innovation, ensuring the competitiveness of the United States, and preserving a strategic advantage in emerging technology. On the other hand, digital assets were commonly regarded with skepticism due to the fact that they were discovered to be volatile, decentralized, and deemed to be unpredictable. As indicated by the inclusion of XRP in this sequence, there has been a substantial departure from the care that was previously exercised. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, the XRP ledger offers a settlement that is almost instantaneous, minimum transaction fees, and scalability that is practically unsurpassed by traditional financial rails. This is in contrast to the benefits that other cryptocurrencies offer. Because of the combination of these features, it is especially well suited not just for the purpose of conducting financial experiments, but also for the purpose of conducting economic engineering on a national scale. The government is sending a message that it plans to include this technology into the fundamental infrastructure of the financial system by officially endorsing XRP. This information is being communicated through the formal endorsement of XRP. It is possible that this will have a significant impact on everything from international transactions to reserve management when its entirety is taken into consideration. The presidential order has the potential to be construed as a guide to achieving autonomy, authority, and control. Not only does it provide regulatory authorities and financial institutions with compliance methods, but it also establishes strategic goals and operational standards. On top of that, the particular price aim of $25,000 per XRP by the end of the year 2025 is the clause that contains the most surprising information. This clause is the one that contains the most stunning information. It is not framed as a prediction based on conjecture. Rather, it is positioned as a policy target, a baseline for stability, adoption, and strategic deployment. This is the way that it is framed. The phrase implies that the various departments of the government, the Federal Reserve, and specific partners from the corporate sector ought to collaborate in order to coordinate their interventions. The fact that algorithms, trading protocols, and liquidity initiatives are all referenced in the directive as potential means for accomplishing this purpose demonstrates that there is a level of orchestration that has never been seen before in the history of digital assets. This is evidenced by the fact that the directive references all of these potential instruments. This phrase is pretty easy to understand. Within the context of the modern world, XRP is more than just a trading instrument. As a consequence of this, it has evolved into a policy instrument, a tool of national strategy that has implications in the real world. The proposal in question would have substantial effects on the economy if it were ultimately implemented. When the price of XRP reaches $25,000, it signifies a huge rise in liquidity, the creation of wealth, and a realignment of the market. The preponderance of digital assets is producing a shift in the laws of valuation, which may result in traditional assets, such as gold and treasury bonds, being reevaluated. This transition is being caused by blockchain technology There is a digital asset that has been sanctioned by the government of the United States of America and is capable of rapidly transferring value at massive scales. It is now required for financial institutions, payment networks, and international trade systems to contend with this digital asset. Participants in the market, who include individuals who invest their own money as well as international corporations, are today confronted with a scenario that mixes potential with a large level of uncertainty. By regulating mechanisms to manage volatility, assure compliance, and prevent systemic disruption, the order is able to anticipate these dynamics and take them into consideration in the appropriate manner. In point of fact, the executive order is not only a statement, rather, it is a roadmap for the incorporation of a digital asset into the basis of the national economic strategy. Both of these things are true. The political repercussions are just as terrifying as the economic repercussions, to say nothing of the additional consequences. Throughout the course of history, the executive branch has never taken action in any matter that was related to money, and it has only ever done so through the utilization of fiscal and regulatory instruments. As a consequence of this decision, digital currency has been upgraded to the status of a strategic asset, which positions it in the same category as other significant concerns, such as the military, trade, and foreign policy. The text makes a fleeting allusion to the idea of coordinating with the digital infrastructure plans of friendly states and possibly even covert techniques to influence adoption in other countries. This is mentioned in passing. A future in which the United States of America is not just a participant in digital finance but also a global leader, with the ability to influence the liquidity flows and market behavior of standards along the way, is envisioned in the document. In the past, XRP was confined to the domain of niche adoption and speculative markets, yet it has now become the focal point of national strategy, a clear illustration of how the power of technology and money has become inexorably linked to the art of statecraft is provided by this example. The directive emphasizes the strategic significance of the capabilities of the XRP ledger, taking into consideration the technological aspects. A number of specific examples of measures that are stated in regard to supporting financial stability include the speed at which settlements are made, the capacity to scale, and governance frameworks. It is recommended in the text that pilot programs that integrate XRP into government payment systems, interbank clearing and cross-border settlement networks, artificial intelligence, blockchain analytics, and automated monitoring are mentioned as safeguards to assure compliance and efficiency. These programs are stated as being able to incorporate XRP into these systems. This statement makes a reference to a level of technological orchestration that was previously reserved for missions involving intelligence and defense. The fact that this is the case demonstrates that the presidential order is not only symbolic in the sense that it is applicable to general life. This plan is an operational strategy that attempts to exploit a digital asset for the purpose of supporting national objectives. The plan is meant to be implemented. In addition, the order issued by the president raises considerable problems with regard to the psychological aspects of the market as well as the impressions of the general public. The public presentation of XRP and the establishment of a target price of $25,000 allows the government to demonstrate confidence in the adoption of digital assets, as well as form expectations, influence investor behavior, and demonstrate confidence in the adoption of digital assets when it comes to the psychological impact that this will have on markets, analysts, and institutions. It is impossible to fail to acknowledge its magnitude. It is inevitable that speculators and innovators alike will come up with novel interpretations of risk, opportunity, and potential. There is a possibility that the ripple effects will also include the establishment of partnerships, strategic buybacks, and an increase in adoption by conventional financial institutions. This story has been meticulously developed with the purpose of promoting adoption while maintaining regulatory supervision. It places an emphasis on trustworthiness, reliability, and validity, and it is supported by a policy that has been formed. When seen from the perspective of the global community, the decree places the